Good morning, family.
Good morning.
What I always say that, but it always is. What a true blessing it is to be back in our Father's house.
Yes.
Where we worship right now, we claim this as our Father's house, amen?
Yeah.
And the song, the worship, the praise was just, I felt the presence. I felt the presence back there. And it's just amazing, you can go somewhere and you know where God is already there, and then God comes in and says, I am right here. You feel that connection.
Yeah.
That connection. Wow, I've been excited all week, and before I forget, let me just pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you for your awesomeness. I just thank you for your presence all around us at all times, even when we don't necessarily think that you are there. The connection is there. It's just us, Lord. And it's just us. And I just ask that you just remove those blockers from us. Allow us to remove the blockers that prevent us from connecting when we really, really need to, Lord. And we really should. Lord, I thank you for the people that you have just placed in my life. I thank you for just the vision. I just thank you for just the growth. Not only the physical growth, but the spiritual growth, Lord, throughout all. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
This has been an interesting week, and I'm going to start off with a testimony. Is that all right? Can I start off with a testimony? I had this message prepared, and then I met someone, and it was kind of like, no, you need to tell that. You need to tell that. And so this testimony kind of involves this really cool car. This really cool car. And Jacob will begin to share with you this as I speak about it, because for most people that know me, I'm not a car kind of guy. And if you can't kind of see that, we can dim the lights a little bit so you can really pick that up. This car is there it is. That is. This car is a 1969 Cadillac.
Wow.
1969 Cadillac. And that's the inside of it. The gentleman that I met was just so gracious to allow me to take all the pictures that I wanted. And as Jacob goes through, he can show you the outside. And this is really important here. That name right there. Big Juicy. Big Juicy. Now let me tell you about Big Juicy a little bit. I'll get into that in a little bit, because I thought originally that was the name of the person that I met, but it was not. Big Juicy is a dog, actually. Big Juicy is a dog. And so I had to look him up, and I found him. But let me tell you about this, kind of how this came about. So Kat and I were driving along to pick up some materials in Hearst. And we got the materials that I needed. And then I shot down into downtown Fort Worth. I said, well, let me go by my office and grab a meal. It's Friday, downtown on a Friday at about, 2, 3 o'clock. Because I'm trying to, 1, okay. So I get downtown, and I had another mission, and it was to place some funds into an account of some folks. And so while I was doing that, if anybody knows me, I like to kind of do things somewhat easier than harder. And parking downtown, especially if I got to pay for it for a couple of seconds, it's not going to happen. And that's laughter for those that know me. I don't pay for things like, it's going to be, so it makes sense to me. So I said, babe, you know what? There's another facility in Hearst that we can make this deposit. Let's drive back to Hearst and do this. And again, my wife said, it's not like you at all. So yeah, no, you know what? Again, going all over in circles like that, it's not me. But I did that. And so when we get to Hearst, we get to the facility, and the bank there, and we get out of the truck, and then this car pulls up. And you can go back to it. And you just keep flipping through it, because, you know, people might catch other things in that they didn't see before, like that nice screen TV. You know, it's a really nice, plush vehicle, you know. So in comes this car, and I was like, wow, look at that thing come in. I said, babe, you got to see this car. You got to take a look at this car. And then I didn't even notice until later. I said, look at that license plate, Big Juicy. Big Juicy. I said, wow. This story gets better because, you know, it's not about the car. It's about our Father and how he works. You see, knowing, as I said, and this is a testimony, I'm going to kind of share with you some of the lessons that I learned in this testimony, even throughout the message. Number one, the flesh in me doesn't do things that don't make sense sometimes. In my mind, it doesn't make sense. That didn't make sense. But when I finish with this testimony, you'll hear that what doesn't make sense to me is a God thing. That's a God thing. This was nothing but a God thing. So I looked at the car, and Kat's walking along. She said, I'm going to go over here in the shade while you go take those pictures. And I said, no problem. So I go over, and I'm taking pictures, and the gentleman hops out, and, you know, you got to kind of, and it's things that I don't even necessarily notice until afterwards. Guy was just a normal, average-looking guy. Had a cut-off shirt, you know, just the arms showing, tattoos, and he just was just kind of loving life. You know, he was free. And I was just like in awe of this guy, because he just, you know, here I am, some strangers walk up, and I just, hey, can I take a picture of your car? Oh, yeah, come on here. Let me open the door for you. Just let me. So he tells me about the car. He's like, yeah, this is a 69 Caddy. I'm like, nice. He says, do you know, let me tell you who this belonged to. And I said, who? Who did it belong to? He said, this was Liberace's car. Come on. Liberace. He said, you know who Liberace is? And he shows me this ring with, you know, this big ring. And I'm like, yeah, I know who Liberace was. Yeah, I know. I know who he was. I don't know him, but I know who he was. And so he says, yeah, he had it from, I think he told me, from 69 to 75. And he was there to change over the title somehow. And his wife, he told me, my wife said, why are you going out there today to do this? And, you know, look at how you're dressed when you're going out there to change the title, what have you. And he's telling me all these stories, and I'm thinking, yeah, you know, he wanted to go out. He had a mission. And he says, I really didn't need to be here, but I was here. Now, here's where it gets deep. Here's where it gets real deep, because that was one connection. But here's the other connection that was already formed before I even approached there. It was formed before he woke up that morning and before I woke up.
Come on.
So what he did was, he said, so, you know, what are you doing? What are your business? What's your business? And do you know this is part of that lesson about changing your altitude is the title of this sermon and the climb. But when he asked me that, I immediately told him, well, I'm Pastor Seth. See, all the things in the secular world, all the things that I've done before, it doesn't seem to matter anymore. It doesn't seem to matter anymore. And so when I told him who I am, you know, because it's important knowing who you are. Amen?
Amen.
When I told him who I was and who I am, he said, do you believe that all things happen for a reason? I said, absolutely. You know, and in my mind, I was getting ready to pour out a sermon to him, and I pulled back a little bit and said, yeah, absolutely. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, yeah, God ordains my steps, so, you know, yeah, we can talk about this. So what he did was, he said, I now know why I'm supposed to be here. He said, I told him what my mission was, and he says, well, I don't want to get too much in your business, but do you mind, can I ask you, how much were you going to put into that account? And I told him. And he said, okay, I want to bless your church. Woo. I want to bless your church. God thing.
Amen.
I've never had this happen to me in my life. But again, when you change your altitude and your attitude changes your altitude, the walk that you have, people recognize that, but then God puts people in your way, in your place, in your path. And I thought, okay. So we start to walk in, and he's telling me a story about where he came from and, you know, what he did. He's actually a past sergeant with the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department, and he had come into some funds, some money, and he's just, you know, when I tell you about joy, you know, we were talking about joy and different emotions the last 3 weeks, and when I tell you about love and joy, there's nothing but love coming out of this man that I just met, you know. And so he says, come on. He says, I know that there's an ATM in there somewhere. Come on, let's go in here, because I want to bless your church. So he comes back with cash money, and he says, I believe in twos, so this is times 2 of what you told me. Here you are. And he gave that to the church, just out of pure joy and love that he had. He gave that to the church. Big Juicy. Now, ordinarily, you know, I mean, that's worth the hand clap. Yes, it is. Big Juicy, a guy with a cut-off shirt, tattoo, just one of the nicest people you could ever meet and run into. And Kat and I are looking at each other going, what's going on? And I immediately said, that's a God thing right there. Amen. That's a God thing right there. Amen. You know, he could have done anything else. Let me tell you this. We got to talking, and he said, I'm done. I'm done with my work. He didn't get the title that day. He walked out. He walked out. He said, I now know. He said, I know what I'm supposed to do, why I was here. Do you know that it told me, the Spirit confirmed with me later on, this is why you were supposed to be here, not in downtown. And do you not understand these funds that I was trying to put into an account, I wanted to do them earlier that week, because y'all know me, I'm kind of about order and trying to get things done at appropriate time or what have you. And so, I'm like, why is this not working? How come and then it wasn't until this morning that the Spirit said, that's why it's not working. Because I had a place for you to be at a particular time, and the time that you wanted to do it in wasn't the right time. That was your time. That was your time. I didn't tell you to go right then and there. So you do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it. That's how the Father works. And I'm thinking, my Lord, thank you. See, these are just different lessons that I pulled out of this entire meeting with this gentleman. I had to look him up because, he doesn't want a whole lot, but I guarantee you, if you find him, you find him. I'll tell you this, he had a billboard, I found out later on, and it's an article, if you find it. He had a billboard on 121, and he loves Fort Worth. And he's sitting there with his dog on top of another caddy with the long horns on it. I thought, man, wow. Wow. And people the article said, who is this person? And he basically just said, I just like to share love. Yeah. So when I sit here, I'm getting all kinds of just different messages here that stems from I look like God. That was 3 weeks that we went into that. We dove into that. I look like God. He and I look nothing alike on the outside appearance, but he and I were connected on the inside. Amen. He and I were connected on the inside. That's most important right there. And I had to tell him, I really hate him. I can't hold it. His last name is Love. His last name is Love. I mean, all these things, it's kind of like, what is going on? What is going on but God? Come on. Amen. But God. Amen. Me trying to fight to get to putting in some funds into an account started earlier that week, to me trying to figure out how I'm not going to pay for a parking spot somewhere, me going in circles, wasting gas, to me going back to Hearst meeting this gentleman who, but God. That's all I can say. But God. And then again, when you change your altitude, you have meetings like that. You have run-ins like that. Do you hear what I'm saying? Amen. When you change your altitude, you have run-ins like that. Yeah. All I can say is thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I had this message that came to me I don't know, several days ago. And I thought, how do you not speak of this encounter? You know, I love testimonies. I love to hear praise reports. To be honest with you, I actually love to hear when things are not going so right in your lives. Because what it does is, it tells me that you need to pray for this individual. You need to uplift this individual, and prayerfully, their altitude will change and their attitude on life will change and uplift them. God is still in the midst, even when we are at our worst, or we think we're at our worst. He's still there. And I'm sitting there as another thing about this as I'm coming, because there's just so many messages and so many lessons the Lord has given to me, even right now as I stand before you, is the fact that, what about abundance? Did he not say, in abundance? This man said, what were you going to give? I could have thrown out any number to him. But he said, I'm going to double it. It wasn't that the church necessarily was going out and saying, I wasn't there trying to receive money for the church. Church is fine. Church is great. But it was the Lord saying, I want you to see what I can do. Amen. I want you to witness what I can do. You think that you have something right now. Let me show you how you're going to get to that vision that had already given to you. And it's chance meetings like that. Man, there's a whole lot coming for this church, for Newburgh, boy. Let me tell you, some of the visions that I've been given, it will just either scare you or it will shake you to your core that you're just overjoyed. It's just that shaking of overjoyed. That's what's going on right now. It's a God thing, y'all. It's a God thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Woo.
Yes.
I had to share that with you. I could not keep that.
Right.
It was just too precious to hold just inside. Too precious. You know, the original title of this sermon, God's sermon, was Change Your Altitude. And as I was driving in, I had to add one more word. Climb. Climb. You know, when you're in a plane and there's like some turbulence going on, and for the most part, every time the pilot says, well, there's a little turbulence happening here, I'm going to climb higher. We're going to rise up to another 3,000 or 4,000 feet, whatever it is. And you're thinking to yourself, at least I think to myself, well, the safest thing would be get closer to the ground. Let's get closer to the ground.
Amen.
But the pilot says climb. You know, sometimes that's kind of how we are. The safest thing is to go where, we feel, because we can see, we see with our physical eyes, we can see that foundation right there. And it's flat, it's nice, it's sturdy. That's where we want to be. Why isn't the pilot says, no, I'm not going to get closer to the ground, we're going to climb.
Yeah.
It's a little less rocky up here than down here. So, as I was preparing, Psalms 121:1 came into play. I will lift up my eyes to the hills, for whence comes my help. You ever look around and you're going through and you're walking anywhere in life and you see people that they're looking down as they walk. They don't look up. And sometimes when they do look up, you see this, at least I do, some of the emptiness behind their eyes. It's kind of like, whoa, what's going on in your life? Why does it seem so empty there? What's hurt you so bad that you're either walking with your head down or I can see the emptiness behind you? And I haven't quite put that together. That may be the Spirit that tells me these things, that shows me these things in people. But it's kind of like, wow, what's going on? It's just that emptiness. But as I said, sometimes when we set our sights on the physical, it prevents us from seeing the supernatural. It prevents us from seeing the supernatural and obtaining our blessings from our Father. Because we sit there and we go, well, this is what's in front of me. This is all I can do. I can see it. I can achieve it. That's a slogan someone said, if I can see it, I can achieve it. I like the other one that goes, if I believe it, then add, if I believe in the Father,
Come on.
I can achieve it.
Amen.
You give it to the Father, not just saying, I can see it. You know, growing up, they had several things my parents would say. Aim high. How many of your parents used to tell you, aim high, shoot for the stars? I even told my daughter, I said, you know what, if you shoot for the stars, maybe you'll land right there at the, above Earth there, and shoot for the stars. But then, as I was sharing with you about this, how I walk now and what I tell people when I do, it was one of those things where you need to aim higher. Doing what I do, that's small. I need to aim higher. The Lord was saying, aim higher. Walk with me. Walk with me. Share my word. And I thought, wow, there's something more than just the physical. There's something else out there. There's something more. So here we are right now. We're just sharing in the physical. And so in the spiritual now, when you are looking at your own sight, what's in your own sight, you're not recognizing what's in God's sights for you. What's in God's sights for you? I guarantee you it's a lot higher than where your sights are on. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. You have to have confidence in our Father to give you the lift that you need. You've got to have confidence in our Father to give you the lift that you need. I'll share this with you because, I believe in being transparent about things because I'm not always so positive sometimes. Sometimes self-doubt gets in the way. And so that might have been another lesson for me on Friday when I met Big Juicy's owner there. It might have been a lesson for me to say, I'm always with you, and I will give in abundance to you and your church. Why would he hurt his own church? He wouldn't. He wouldn't. So it basically said, and that's what Kat told me, she said, babe, that's confirmation right there. You just keep moving. You just keep going. And I said, yeah, you're right. See, sometimes the quiet wife that I have, she puts these words into my ear, which lands into my heart, and it keeps pushing. It awakens another part of me that connects with the Spirit and says, keep going. You're on the right track. See, sometimes that's what we have to do is connect with our spirit, that connection with the Father there, that shows you that there's more out there than what your physical eyes are seeing. We need to change our altitude, change our outlook on things. Because I tell you, with God for us, who's going to be against us? Amen. Who's going to be against us? Amen. There's no such thing as anyone coming and just going to stop and crush these visions, these plans. Nothing. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, to everything there's a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. So I ask you this, how do you remain at one level knowing that the world changes? How is it that you remain at one level or one stage in your life knowing that the world changes? Why are you stuck there? What season are you in right now? And should you change? Should you change? Do you know that you can create your own destiny? Just speak to our Father. Tap into what our Father has been telling you all this time. Just trying to reach you. Trying to say, you know what? You have created the circumstance that you're in. But that doesn't mean that you need to stay there. It doesn't mean that you need to stay there. Listen up. That's what he's saying. Listen up. He's put so many paths. Y'all heard my story before. This path that I thought I was walking on, I'm doing a good, I'm moving forward. God kept saying, over here, it's right in my ear, over here. I'm going, no, right here. This is fine. Because you see, that was nice and firm foundation for me. That was fine. Step out in faith. See what happens there. Step out on faith. Yeah, it can be a little scary sometimes. Don't get me wrong. It can be. But again, God is for us. Who's against us? Man, this week is just, I'm telling you, just powerful week. You know, even in great times, we should continuously seek growth. Even when things are good, you know, what my dad used to say, eating high fat off the hog, or something he used to say to me about that. High on the hog, eating high on the hog, he used to say, you know. But then there's times when you're not. But you know, we praise him anyway. All our circumstances, we should be praising him anyway. But we also should continuously seek growth. You see, our Father is a builder. I don't know if you recognize that or not, but our Father is a builder right from the beginning. Amen?
Yeah.
Right from the beginning. So if he's a builder, builder means progression, right? Doesn't mean that you just build, you just keep building. This is what happens right here while this church is formed right now. We're building. We're building for his glory. This is not anything, these visions are not vision of Pastor Seth. Trust me, they're not. Because I would look at it, and again, I'd be that person, that logical person. You know what? I'm going to do it this way. I'm not going to do it over here because that just doesn't make sense. So how could that work out? See, when you got God in the plan, you just step back and just hold on for the ride. Hold on for the ride. That's what I've been doing, and I've been loving every minute of this. Every minute. Even during those times when I say, yeah, you got some self-doubt. See, that's the flesh in me. That's the flesh that pulls back and says, oh, can you? Or should you do it this way? But you know what? The joy comes out of that when I say, no, flesh, get back. My Father told me to do it this way. My Father told me to do it this way. See, getting stuck in your circumstance does not change your circumstance. Getting stuck in your circumstance does not change it. You remain there. You ever see a car doing just donuts and they just can't seem to stop? Just going around in circles. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So if you're thinking that and that's what's going on in your life, I suggest that you change your season. Rewrite what's going on with you, or rewrite it with our Father. And really, when you are stuck in that circumstance, it really does not encourage others. It's a bad circumstance. It doesn't encourage others. See, as a pastor, and really truly as a Christian, we should be wanting to encourage others. Amen? We should be wanting to encourage others. See, that's our mission. And I said, as a pastor, as a Christian, remember, there's a universal call to all of us. All of us have it. Just why are we going to answer it? How are we going to answer it? Sometimes you just got to stop that ride. You got to stop that ride and get off. Sometimes you have to do it in such a way that people know I'm not for this anymore. See, there was a time, actually there's still a time, I don't get on roller coasters. I have a fear of roller coasters. I don't do it, and when I did get on roller coasters, I will not go on roller coasters that have a loop on them. It just doesn't make sense to me that I'm going to stay in this chair. It's going to hold me in here. Won't do it. Yeah,
Amen.
I'm not a science guy, so it's kind of like I said, I don't understand how planes, I get in them. Doesn't make sense to me how they stay up. None of that makes sense, but I still do it. But you know what? That was the old me that put faith in man, because man built it, right? But then, as I matured in life, there's a prayer that goes up, Lord, protect everyone on this plane. Because now my faith is in our Father that plane is going to land at its appropriate destination, wherever that may be. Because I do return back to the Old Testament, it says, and if not, I'm okay about that. And if not. You see, so I was on this roller coaster, and I sat there, I was bold and thought I was going to ride this until I sat in it, and then something just kind of overtook me and said, you need to get off. You know, I'm sitting here just kind of like, no, sweating, you know. And I kid you not, the guy who was operating the ride, he came over and he says, you want to get off? He started laughing. I'm saying, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. I need to get off of this ride right now before you started. And he kept laughing, and I had to really show this other side of me that said, if you don't let me off of this ride, when it comes back and stops, I will be the first to see you afterwards. He took me very seriously then. I probably was about 18, 19 years old when that happened. But I had to let him know I need to get off. And he wasn't taking it seriously. See, sometimes we have to let some of our friends and family know that we've got to get off of this ride that we're on right now. See, in Isaiah 43:19 it says, "Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and the rivers in the desert." See, sometimes people can't see what you see. They don't understand your vision and they can't partake in it, so you have to get off of that ride. And I'm going to tell you, as I begin to close here, when your attitude changes and your altitude has risen, some of your family members will not be there for this ride.
Amen.
They don't even recognize the change in you. They just want to keep saying, "Hey, come on. You just walk with me." I was out with my brother in Christ here up in Oklahoma, and I just watched this person try to get them to, here, have a cigarette. Here, have a drink of this. And he's like, no, that's not what I want. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. There's a movie called Friday that I used to watch, and all I could thought was, "Come on, Craig. Come on, Craig. It's Friday." That's all that went through my mind. And I thought, that's nothing but the devil right there in his ear, just saying, "Come on." And I'm looking at the pressure that he was under. But you know what? He got off of that ride. He said, "No, I don't know. I don't want it. It's okay." He was polite about it. But see, sometimes we have to do that other thing where you have to really boldly tell people, "No, I'm not going to get on. I'm not continuing. This is not me anymore. I have changed my altitude." Things have changed. When you do that, supernatural things begin to happen. Changes in your life begin to happen, and it reflects to other people. They begin to see a change in you, and either they can't really visualize it, they can't get with it. They're going to do one or two things. They're either going to get dragged into it, or they're going to elevate beyond you, or they're going to get left behind. That's what happens. They may get left behind, and that's okay. You still will go and minister to them. It doesn't mean you don't love them anymore. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that the altitude, your altitude has changed. Your attitude has changed. So it's time to just divorce yourself from these things. It's time to move on. You've got to move on. That's what happens when your altitude changes. Things like Big Juicy come along into your life. Who was this man that just walked up and says, "Here, I'm going to give you this because I want to take a few pictures of a car"? It wasn't about the car. It was about God at that time. It was about God at that time. Oh my goodness. How our Father is. How our Father is. Whew. I tell you, Philippians 4:6 says, "Be anxious for nothing." Now I'm telling you about this right now. And I'm not saying that you're going to walk out and you say, "I'm going to claim this for me in God's name," and it happens instantly. Take your time with it. It's in God's time. I'm passionate about it now. This didn't happen overnight right here. Even this. I remember my brother was asking me some time ago, he was like, "Hey, Yusuf, what are you thinking about this? Can you do something here? Can you move forward here? Can you act on a particular situation that was happening?" I said, "Let's slow down. I wasn't told to act." Do you know when this walk happens right now, when you do it in God's timing, you just do it in God's timing. This that we have right here, this is amazing to me right now. This is amazing to me right now. And I just think, I was like, wow, this is a God thing. I love him so much, y'all. I do. I love y'all. There's just been a whole change because of just a simple thing that I have realized that I've done. And it's only by the grace of God that this happens. And I prayerfully, this happens for you. It's to climb. Wherever altitude you're sitting at right now, don't get stuck right there. Don't get stuck right there. There's greater. There's greater. He's in you. And it can be done with him. Amen?
Amen.
Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you again for this time, Lord. Lord, I just ask that just the altitudes and the attitudes just change within your people, Lord. I just ask that just things that they are just envisioning that if it's of you, Lord, let it be. Let it manifest with them so they can see the supernatural, not only them, Lord, but the supernatural occurs in others, Lord. We are builders, Lord. We follow you, Lord. You are a builder. You are a builder. And I just thank you for it. I just thank you for it. These short times that we have right here, Lord, they're precious. I thank you for it. I thank you for the facility that we have to do this in, Lord. I thank you for the chance meetings that are meetings of you, Lord. I thank you for all that are to come in advance, Lord. I give you the honor, the grace, the glory. All honor belongs to you, Lord, not us. And we do this in honor of you. Amen.
Amen.